forget that state that we're in when we're kids, you know, where actually things are much more fluid, much more movable, mentally, emotionally, spatially. And we lose it, and we get slaved to the clock and the calendar. We just become chained up people. And the great thing about art, of course, is that cannot happen. You know, when you go to the movies, it's only 90 minutes or 2 hours. Or you go to a play or go to the opera, maybe 3 hours. And see what actually happens in that stretch of time. Everything does. And yet it was only 3 hours. That's the sort of compressed time of the fairy tales that stretches out into a larger time. And that's the time that art really offers us. And it's a great relief, you know, it just takes your hand off the panic button. You know, in this 24/7 culture that we live in, suddenly, you have to read the poem slowly. You have to sit in the theatre, watch the show. You have to go and look at the picture and give it some space. And then you realise that you are in your mind already moving backwards and forwards into a space which is not entirely Buddhist, but which is truly imaginative and gives you, I think, the capacity to go forward. So when I was writing Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit, there is a chapter in here called Deuteronomy. The chapters in Oranges, if you haven't read it, follow a little bit the books of the Bible, because that was really one of the few books that I read when I was a child, because books weren't allowed in our house. And you'll remember that the chapters of the Bible were Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth. So I could do more, but I won't. And so I thought, well, I could write my own Bible. You know, it seemed like a reasonable ambition.